Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Online Series 12 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the previous episode, which I've linked down in the description below, we tried out this team centered around Zamazenta and Zygarde, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today. Thank you so much as always for watching Road to Ranked. If you enjoyed, please show your support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Before we get started, today's episode is sponsored by Into the AM. They're a super awesome apparel company that makes all kinds of different clothing, ranging from graphic tees to joggers, and right now I'm actually wearing one of their tees, which is one of my personal favorites. There's a summer style sale going on at the moment where you can get up to 50% off select items, so I've linked the sale down in the description below if you want to check it out. They always have a lot of cool bundle deals with graphic tees as well, so I've linked just my general favorite products from them down in the description below as well. You can use code CybertronVGC10, by the way, to get an additional 10% off your next order, and there's free shipping on orders that are greater than $85 as well. So, huge thank you to Into the AM for continuing to support the channel. First game of the day, and we're up against Yveltal Zacian with the Raichu, Bronzong, Incineroar, and Gatrodon. Okay. I feel like Zamazenta, Zygarde solid here. Thundurus is also solid, but I obviously have to worry about, like, the Lightning Rod from Raichu. Stealth Rock from Torkoal would be cool here. If I were them, I'd actually consider just leading Raichu plus Yveltal. Raichu plus Yveltal. To which, like, I mean, I guess I could just bring Thundurus and, like, max Airstream into the Yveltal slot. Protect Zamazenta turn 1. Zamazenta, Thundurus, Zygarde, and as the last one, Tapu Fini is actually interesting, especially if I can get a Heal Pulse off. I don't think it's Venusaur because it's really bad into Yveltal. Torkoal is interesting because they could look to burn the Zacian with Burning Jealousy if they switched it in. But I think Fini's probably the most consistent here. Fini is also not terrible into Yveltal. So, we'll see. I think, like, the first question I have is the item on Yveltal. You could be Life Orb, Assault Vest, Weakness Policy. I think those are going to be the most common three here. With Raichu, it makes me think that it might be Policy, just because then you can go for Self-Volt Switch to activate it. But I really have no idea here. So, let's see. So, the plan, ideally, let's say they lead a Raichu Yveltal, would be to protect... Okay, they lead with Zacian and Yveltal. I don't mind that, honestly. Makes turn 1 very interesting already, though, I have to say. Because, like, I could just coaching into Thundurus right now. I'm definitely going to go for that. The question with Thundurus is, do I want to Airstream Yveltal or Lightning it? Because Yveltal could switch into Raichu, obviously. I could also just, like, protect Thundurus on the first turn, right? It's kind of compelling as an option, so I don't take too much damage. Because if one play my opponent could make is to just, like, Behemoth Blade and Max Darkness Thundurus right now. Yeah, I'm down to coaching Protect here. Ideally, Yveltal switches out into Raichu here. That would give us a free attack and defense boost, and then we're really moving. But they're going to commit the Dynamax, which is not good news for me, I'd say. Given this play, then I could have actually just gone for coaching Max Lightning directly into Yveltal. And it makes sense for my opponent to make this play, because if you put yourself in their shoes, they're probably thinking, well, hey, you got to respect Raichu right now. And respect Raichu indeed. However, if they did go for Blade and Darkness, that would actually be pretty interesting because you would activate my Defiant. Ooh, Zama's faster than Zacian here. Okay. That's actually a big piece of information as well. Yep, there's Blade into the Protect. So I'm curious if they Airstream, Flare, or Darkness here. Yeah, they go for Airstream. That's the best play from their end. Okay. Thundurus, I don't think is surviving a Max Darkness here. Well, you're not Life Orb, so maybe. Like, I'm just gonna bash Max. I guess Zacian could switch out into Raichu now is the thing. They could just Sacred Sword Zamazenta now, Max Darkness Thundurus, or they could double up onto Thundurus, which feels pretty likely. I would have been pretty in a pretty good spot if I just Airstream turn 1, but I had to really respect the double up onto Thundurus. There were so many plays they could have made from their position. Okay, I'm just gonna Bash and Lightning here. I'm willing to go for it. They stay in at least, but I think the problem here is you can just double up onto Thundurus for a KO with another Blade and a Max Darkness. So let's see. Okay, Thundurus maxes. They have a speed boost on both, so they should outpace us now. There's Behemoth Blade, yep. Okay, into Thundurus. Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting to take the Max Darkness here. Oh, that's a slow Yveltal. I could have actually clicked Snarl then, instead of Behemoth Bash. Yeah, it's just not that much damage, unfortunately. But they go for another Max Airstream rather than a Max Darkness onto the Thundurus, which I think will punish them pretty heavily for, because with the Life Orb, we should just get the one-shot onto Yveltal. However, the downside is now they might just be able to knock out my Thundurus with the Zacian slot. But all things considered, for what was a really bad start, we're in LK shape. Given that my opponent, interestingly enough, didn't want to commit Max Darkness on either turn. And that's kind of what I was trying to bait on in the first turn, right? Because if they had gone for, like, I guess Darkness, if they're like Life Orb, would still do such a significant amount of damage. But then with the Zamazenta being faster than Zacian, I could have gone for a second coaching onto Thundurus, Dynamax Thundurus, and then just Lightning to KO them immediately. They're actually going to bring in Incineroar, which actually, you know, activates Defiant here. But it's actually really close as to whether or not a Behemoth Blade will KO, because we took just under 50% previously. So it's probably a damage roll here, which is pretty scary. No, actually, I don't know. I think after Life Orb, actually, I would expect them to just get the knockout. Field State, +2 speed, +1 attack, neutral. You can fake out Zamazenta and just Behemoth Blade Thundurus now. Fake out Zama, Blade into Thundurus. Okay. I'm down to go for a Protect here and actually switch Thundurus out into the Zygarde. We'll eat up the Blade and then we'll transform forms. That's the goal here. I think the question is basically, do you have a Play Rough on Zacian right now? Okay, Zama goes for Protect. Fake Out goes into Protect. Yep. And Behemoth Blade comes out. Cool. It's going to do a hefty amount to us here. But, yep, we're able to survive. And now we can transform forms. And now I've got a Zygarde that has a super effective attack into both of my opponent's Pokemon. So that's good, at least. I think here I'm going to just protect Zygarde and go for a coaching onto it. Okay. If they knock out Zamazenta, then I get a free switch into Tapu Fini, and with Tapu Fini, I can Heal Pulse into the Zygarde slot. One of the questions I also have is just what is my opponent's last Pokemon? Given the lack of switching into Raichu at any point, I feel like they just don't have Raichu in the back, but I could be wrong on that assumption. It'll be an interesting fourth Pokemon to have here, though, in the back. If we get this coaching boost off, then Zygarde is actually in a pretty solid position, but I've already gone for the Protect coaching play once, so I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent just, you know, predicts it this time around. Incineroar reveals Protect, though. Okay, that's interesting. And they Blade into the Zygarde. Okay, perfect. Cool. So that works. Given that we're seeing Blade there over Play Rough, I think that's also pretty promising. Okay. now I am willing... I think we should survive a Behemoth Blade for sure. So I'm down to just go for a Behemoth Bash onto Zacian. Actually, I'd rather just get another coaching boost if I can, right? If I'm surviving the turn anyway, I think it's better to get a coaching boost off. Yeah, and 1,000 arrows. Oh, they actually have play rough. But we survive thanks to the coaching boost. Now we get a second coaching boost off. Okay. And it makes sense that my opponent went for the Behemoth Blade earlier if they were expecting to just get the knockout, right? But now we got leftovers recovery the subsequent turn. Oh, we don't KO either. But it's eject button Incineroar? Oh, it's weakness policy. Okay. Well, that's a little bit scary. They're going to Flare Blitz into the Zamazenta slot now. Okay. It's such a shame we couldn't get the knockout there, but it highlights how, you know, using a bulky Zygarde can sometimes be punishing. Okay, so we heal back from leftovers. I can bring in Tapu Fini now. And with Fini, the play I want to make is to simply protect the Zygarde. I guess, like... Well, they got policy activated now on Incineroar. Protect Zygarde is just so obvious here that I could switch it up a little bit. It's just... We were so close to KOing both, and we didn't get a knockout onto either, which is disappointing. Because if Zygarde survives this turn and we knock out Fini, we should just win the game. So the play I want to go for is just Moonblast into the Zacian slot and protect the Zygarde. A crazy play I could make is just Heal Pulse and 1,000 Arrows here. Expecting Zacian to protect. But I think I will just Moonblast protect here. I mean, Heal Pulse 1,000 Arrows would be super tempting. But... I mean, it is a game-winning play, for what it's worth, right? But if they just KO the Zygarde, then I just lose the game immediately. So, it's a shame, because if... Okay, Zacian doesn't protect, so they might go for Behemoth Blade onto Fini, but that would also be okay if we survive. So, let's see. There it is, into Fini. Nice, we survive. Excellent. Now we heal up with Citrus Berry. That's why I was willing to make this play, because even if they made the prediction that Zygarde protects, like, the only way that they could get an advantage is if they had protected their Zacian here. But they don't block the Moonblast, so we should just get the knockout now. Perfect. So now my question is, what is your final Pokemon? Okay, they Flare Blitz into the Fini, so nice read into the Protect, but it doesn't matter, truthfully, if anything, and I think this actually just benefits me, because I think Incineroar feigns from Recoil here. So now it's just a 3v1 with Zygarde. Okay. And we heal back from leftovers again. We've got Thundurus in the back. Their last one's going to be Raichu, Gastrodon, or Bronzong. To be honest, those are all relatively supportive Pokemon. It's going to be Gastrodon. Okay, cool. With Gastrodon here, I've got Nature's Madness or Moonblast or Heal Pulse. I think in this position, it's honestly fine to just Moonblast and 1,000 Arrows. Like, we should have enough offense here in this endgame. I don't want to risk missing. I could have gone for Heal Pulse onto Zygarde. That's, like, the one thing I was thinking about. But at this point, like, we're pretty safe to just go for attacks because we still have 3 Pokemon. And, yeah, we don't KO Gastrodon there, but that's fine. They Ice Beam to KO us, but now I just bring out Thundurus and click Foul Play. Like, the one way I could lose in this endgame is, let's say I go for Heal Pulse, Ice Beam crits my Zygarde, suddenly things actually look really bad then. But here I just have guaranteed damage across the board, right? So I don't want to risk missing a Nature's Madness. I don't want to risk getting crit by an Ice Beam there. Although I guess getting crit wouldn't even be the end of the world, because I'd still get the 1,000 Arrows off. So that would be appropriate as well, but we had enough Pokemon advantage here that we could close that out in any different way. I think the key thing in this game, though, was, like, dealing with the Yveltal Zacian lead was really tricky, especially because turn 1 didn't play out in my favor, and my opponent didn't even end up bringing Raichu. So, like, if I had actually just gone for Coaching plus Max Lightning on turn 1, I feel like that's a game-winning play immediately, because then they just don't have a Dynamax to play with. And then it also means they don't get a speed boost on the Zacian, meaning that I will get Coaching off before they get Behemoth Blade off, and then I can get another Coaching off the subsequent turn before they get a Behemoth Blade off. And they had Incident Gastro on the back, so then I had to get guaranteed, like, max Airstream into, you know, the partner slot next to Zacian. But either way, we were able to come up with a win. Just fortunate that my opponent didn't KO Thundurus on turn 2 of the game, because I think they could have pretty easily gone for just Behemoth Blade and Max Darkness, but opted to Airstream there instead. So ended up working out better for us. But yeah, let's just look for another. Next game here, and we've got Calyrex Zacian with the Snorlax, which is pretty cool. Thick Fat Snorlax has popped up a little bit. We did feature it a couple of weeks ago as well. So Calyrex and Zacian is pretty anti-Thundurus here. They don't have great weather control, so I could actually just go with Venusaur and Torkoal and just Vine Lash. I find Vine Lash pretty valuable here because they definitely have a Sash user. Like, I think we could go Venu, Torkoal, Zamazenta, Zygarde. My problem with Zamazenta, Zygarde as a lead is if they just lead Calyrex and Zacian, they have Will-O-Wisp pressure onto Zygarde. You could just Astral Barrage, Sacred Sword, Zamazenta, so I think I will go with Torkoal and Venusaur here. Because, like, we can... Stealth Rock would also be interesting here, though I don't think my opponent's switching out that much throughout the course of the battle. So let's see. What's our goal here? To ideally get Zygarde in a position where it can get a free coaching boost off and then really attack from there. Very interesting. It's going to be Indeedee and Snorlax from my opponent's end. Okay. A lot of options we could go for here. I wonder if it's Belly Drum Snorlax. But if it is, I can just Burning Jealousy on turn 1, which is what I'm leaning towards. Okay, it's Psychic Seed, no surprise there. I mean, turn 1, I'm down to just go for Vine Lash onto the Snorlax slot and go for Burning Jealousy. Because if Snorlax Belly Drums here, that could be scary, but then, like, burning it would just mitigate it significantly, right? I kind of expect it to beat Thick Fat Snorlax here, by the way. Now, interestingly enough, Zacian plus Zamazenta would have been very good into this lead. Like, it's interesting to see Indeedee Snorlax because, like, the rest of the team on my opponent's end screams, like, very fast-paced hyper offense with Rillaboom, Calyrex, and Zacian. But this is a much slower combination, but quite nice into what I led here, actually. Interesting. No follow me. Okay. So they might just try to KO the Torkoal immediately, which would also make some sense. Okay, Expanding Force. I think Torkoal should survive here. They do Belly Drum. Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to cover for. Phew. So, you know, you get the Belly Drum. I mean, actually, Body Press would have worked out better here, but, like, I'll get the burn, and I have Vine Lash up right now, so, yeah, it's not really that scary. In fact, I wonder if, like, Burning Jealousy chip damage plus the burn plus the Vine Lash is just enough, but the answer is going to be no here. It's going to survive with 1 turn. Either way, though, I'll take that turn 1, right? Like, pretty solid. And the reason why I found it valuable to go for that play was because if my opponent went for follow me with Indeedee, then suddenly I'm staring down a, you know, belly drummed up Snorlax, and that can be a little bit scary. Honestly, I'm down to just double protect here. Got Zygarde, Zamazenta in the back. Yeah, double protect is fine. Because then, like, I've already gotten Vine Lash off, and so I'm getting so much, like, value out of it at the... Oh, but you know what doesn't work here? If they're Heal Pulse Indeedee. I should have thought about that. Yeah. They're actually going to max Snorlax as well, which is really interesting. So it's Gigantamax Lax, okay? I mean, are you going for Follow Me here? Do you have Heal Pulse? They're definitely going to have Heal Pulse here. I should have thought about that a little bit more, because it would have been safe then to just Vine Lash into the Snorlax slot, or even Quake into it. Oh, okay. They just go for Follow Me. I see. They're trying to just get their berry back. With G-Max Replenish. I mean, if they don't get the berry back, you just wasted your max completely. Although I suppose it makes sense. They don't get the berry back. It makes sense because it's like, with the team that my opponent has, the only other max option really from this angle is Calyrex. But yeah, now they just don't get their max off at all. If I were to replay that turn, I would have just gone for... I would have preferred going for a Quake there, I think. Because if they actually had Heal Pulse on Indeedee there, I'd actually be in really bad shape right now. Okay. Yeah, I mean... It was kind of an ambitious play to begin with there. But it was literally 50-50 as to whether or not you get the berry back. But even if they get the berry back, I still think we're in okay shape. Because I can just knock out the Indeedee the subsequent turn. I would Vine Lash into Snorlax and force them to follow me, essentially. KO Indeedee, and I have Body Press as well, right? And then the end game would be Zygarde plus Zamazenta against their Zacian and Calyrex, which is pretty scary, but like I could go for like the Protect coaching play. But Astral Barrage and Play Rough might just be too much damage in the end game, so I'm not sure. Either way, though, we didn't get to that game state because we just denied Snorlax Belly Drum. Or, we didn't deny it, but we burnt it, so, put it in a really tough spot. But, yeah, let's keep things going. Third game here, and it's Palkia Calyrex. Pretty standard stuff, but there is a Ditto. Okay, with Ditto, I actually have to be pretty careful about my boosts. Safety Goggles is really valuable here. Would be really cool, honestly, to just go for Stealth Rock. I think I want Feeny and Torkoal. Zygarde, Zamazenta. Just trying to figure out in what order. Because you could go with the Palkia lead, which concerns me. I'm down to go with Zygarde, Zamazenta with Feeny and Torkoal in the back. This kind of reminds me of the game yesterday where, my opponent led Incineroar plus Porygon 2, and I was able to just double switch on turn 1 and then get Stealth Rock up safely for free. So if I go with Zygarde, Zamazenta, what leads? I guess, this lead maybe isn't really that strong because, most of my opponent's Pokemon really threaten Zygarde a decent amount. In fact, I locked it in pretty quickly, but I'm not sure Zygarde's actually the objective, correct Pokemon to bring here. Venusaur might actually be better. I think the reality is that Calyrex Ice Rider in general is going to be tricky here, but Zamazenta can Behemoth Bash it. Zygarde can go for Coil. I can Coaching onto the Zygarde as well. So we have a lot of options for sure. And it's going to be Incin plus the Calyrex. Okay. Fake Out Trick Room here certainly makes the most sense. I think I should just switch into Torkoal here. I don't know, Venusaur wouldn't have done much into this duel. Got the defense boost. Got Behemoth Bash. Stealth Rock. Ugh. I feel like dealing with Calyrex Ice here is just tricky to begin with. Especially if they have Policy. I mean, I'm going for Bash and switching out into Torkoal. I think Zygarde can win the game if we KO Calyrex Ice Rider. I just don't see a clear path to KOing Calyrex Ice Rider anytime soon. Especially because this Torkoal is well, I guess the interesting thing is if you're my opponent, okay, Fake Out comes out. Yeah, into Zama. I could have just, I was going to say I could have gone for Coil, but they actually did just go for Glacial Lance there, so I guess that works. Okay. Now, I'm glad I didn't go for Coil. I'm down to Coaching Torkoal. So I can survive a high horsepower. And actually just Body Press into Calyrex Ice Rider. Calyrex switches, okay. Into Palkia. Cool. That works out okay for now. And then I can Snarl next turn, although I guess Incin here could just Flare Blitz into me. So it's pretty interesting to see Coaching go off onto a Torkoal, but the defense boost for higher damage Body Press is decently valuable here. They do have Darkest Lariat, though, so they can ignore my defense boost, unfortunately, rather than Throat Chop, but Torkoal takes that okay. Solid Body Press there. Now you could Dynamax and Quake Zamazenta, or just like Geyser Torkoal and then Flare Blitz Zamazenta. Although then you would change the weather actually that way. So I've got Snarl here. I'm down to Snarl and then switch into Tapu Fini here, because we can get value out of Heal Pulse. The only thing is I now regret not getting Stealth Rock up last turn. Because Stealth Rock short term wouldn't have that much value, but then would punish Incin and Calyrex for switching in and out. Okay, we get Snarl off. Palkia chose not to Dynamax there, which I think is the correct play. Calyrex Ice Rider is just so strong as a max option here. Okay, they actually have Flamethrower. Ugh. Which we survive at least, but still not great. And just another Darkest Lair. Okay, could be worse. Mainly curious how fast the Palkia on their end is, because if it's slower, I could just Heal Pulse Zamazenta, and that would be pretty sweet. 114. Can't say we're for sure. I guess I could just Moonblast Palkia here, no? I'm actually down to switch into Zygarde right now. And Moonblast into the Palkia slot. I still don't really see how I deal with Calyrex Ice Rider, though, is the problem. So we're in Zygarde. Palkia switches. Calyrex. Nature's Madness there would have been so sick. Moonblast is still free damage, but it's not really that much good damage. I guess what's interesting, though, is if the Incineroar does commit the not the Dynamax. If it just targets the Zygarde slot with the Flare Blitz. Yeah, they go for Parting Shot, though. Okay. Into Fini. So now I can go out into Palkia with that slot. They're going to angle to Trick Room. What I can do is now pivot out Zygarde into Torkoal and then go for a Heal Pulse. And Amoonguss comes out, okay. I guess I can't Heal Pulse as easily with that out on the field. Three turns of terrain. Yeah, I'm gonna go into Torkoal and Heal Pulse. I just really regret not going for Stealth Rock earlier now. But that's okay. It's just kind of tough to break through my opponent's, like, offense here. Okay, they don't go for a Rage Powder, so I at least heal up Torkoal, which is pretty sweet. Nice. They're gonna Glacial Lance and not Trick Room. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, Misty Train is up, so I don't know what the Amoonguss is really gonna go for here. Let's see. Okay, they're gonna Pollen Puff onto Calyrex to heal back up. Sunlight fades. I'm down to just Stealth Rock and Nature's Madness here, I think. I don't want to Burning Jealousy and just activate a policy for them. But this is just so tough, because I just don't have really consistent damage. Like, Zygarde's just not solid here into Calyrex Ice Rider. So I'm trying to play in, like, such a particular way. So then it's like, maybe I shouldn't have Broad Zygarde, right? If I'm struggling this much against Calyrex. But then, like, what are my other options? Thundurus? Venusaur? Don't really love either of those. Amoonguss switches out into Incineroar, okay. And this is why I was saying, like, man, if I got Stealth Rock earlier, look how much value I would have gotten out of it already, right? Okay, they don't Dynamax Calyrex. They could have just maxed Quake Torkoal. That was the main thing I was worried about. It's going to be high horsepower. Let's see if that KOs me. Nice. We survived with 2. Okay, huge. And that was a crit, too. Wow. I mean, obviously don't love seeing the crit, but at least we managed to survive. So now we get Stealth Rock up. Okay. I'd fake out into Tapu Fini here and, like, Glacial Lance. So I'm willing to switch Feeny out into Zamazenta and Heal Pulse into Torkoal. I suppose they could just high horsepower Torkoal here, no? Yeah, you could just fake out Feeny high horsepower. That's pretty safe, actually. Okay, so I think we give up Torkoal here. Fake out. Yep, into Feeny. Flinch. They did just Glacial Lance. That's fine. Like I said, we give out Torkoal and now I can get a free switch in. But at what cost is the question? Like, Feeny doesn't have its berry activated here. I just, like, I don't even know the item on Calyrex. I can't even burn it with my own Misty Terrain, so... At least now I can bring out Zamazenta and threaten Behemoth Bash. And I can heal up Zamazenta with a Heal Pulse as well. But it's like, where do we even go from there? Yeah, so I'm going to Behemoth Bash into Calyrex Ice Rider and then Heal Pulse into Zamazenta. But, like, I think now you can just Trick Room. Oh, it was Babiri Berry. I mean, that's a pretty common item, so it's not crazy to see, but... It meant that I could have clicked Burning Jealousy and at least gotten... Well, the damage honestly was not even that significant with Burning Jealousy, to be quite honest with you. Okay. This is just like... Sometimes when you use a bulky or slower paced team, you might just lack good offense throughout the course of the battle, and that's something that I'm really struggling with right now. But it's like, what were our other options here? Would have been Thundurus or Venusaur. Neither are that great into Calyrex Ice Rider. Oh, interesting. They go for another Glacial Lance, though. I think here they should have set up Trick Room if they had it. Oh, that actually KOs Feeny, though? Okay, with that, then, can I win the game? Neither of us have Dynamax yet. I mean, I can go for just another Behemoth Behemoth Bash into 1,000 Arrows. Instant should switch out here. Like, going for coaching here is interesting, because let's say Calyrex Ice Rider protects. Coaching would punish them really heavily. I'm so far behind in this game anyway that I'm, like, thinking about it. The alternative is Behemoth Bash, Dynamax. Max. If I'm expecting to get a KO either way, I should just Quake for a special defense boost. Helps out against Palkia. Okay, they stay in with both. Interesting. Which means I could have then considered Behemoth Bash and just like 1,000 Arrows here. Doesn't feel good to max Zygarde here without any boosts onto it, but kind of felt like I needed to. Yeah, they're gonna max. Okay, with Calyrex maxing here, I don't think I win the game ever unless like Max Quake does enough damage, but I don't think it will. Yeah, nicely done. I was gonna say I could have max guarded and then bashed, but that doesn't really accomplish anything. Okay. Oh man, coaching plus 1,000 Arrows actually would have worked out there. I don't know if it would have really won me the game, but it at least would have put me in a better position. Yeah, I guess I should have just taken that risk. This was always going to be a really uphill battle anyway, but yeah, with that, now I think I just lose the game. I guess I could still go for a critical hit, but actually with Amoonguss coming out now, there's really no shot. Since they had Amoonguss anyway in the back, and I don't have Misty Terrain up anymore, even if I had went for the coaching 1,000 Arrow play there, like, I would just lose this next turn, honestly. So, yeah. This core was just nearly impossible for me to break through, and I don't know if I really have the tools to deal with it accordingly, to be honest. So, yeah. Like, as always, the first question I ask is, did I play as well as possible with the Pokemon I brought in this game? Not really, but I never really had opportunities to make big plays against Calyrex Ice Rider. So knowing that they're Babiri Berry now, maybe I think a little bit more about Venusaur, but yeah. I think, like, Zygarde and Zamazenta both just don't do very much into a Babiri Calyrex, which can just easily knock us out. So, yeah. That was definitely one of the trickier matchups we've had in our time using this team. But it's important to highlight both the strengths and weaknesses of this team, right? And in that specific game, there was just not much that I really felt like I could even do. And so sometimes then it's less of a play issue and more of a composition / matchup issue, right? And as I always say, no team is going to have perfect matchups across the board. And the thing is, like, I'm sure I didn't like find the absolute best route to go up against the Calyrex in that game either. The main scary thing is, like, Burning Jealousy is tempting, but like we really don't want to activate a weakness policy there. And my main Dynamax Pokemon just are both like not very strong into, or actually all three of my Maxmons on the team, the Thundurus, the Venusaur, and the Venusaur, and the Zygarde all just kind of get wrecked by Calyrex Ice Rider, right? Because it's triple ice weak. So Calyrex probably one of the harder restrictors to go up against. If they're not Babiri Berry there, maybe things are a little bit more doable. But with the Babiri, that was just an uphill battle right from turn 1. So yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one, though. So thanks so much as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right. Peace.